Hey, what's going on, guys? Before we get started today, I don't know if you guys saw, but in the last video in the comments below, I mentioned that I was in the process of purchasing a song. Hopefully that goes through. Alright, so hopping into what I love and what I hate about my Mercury Cougar. We're gonna go ahead and start with the good things. Actually, that is a lie. The bad thing. The birds just can't keep their shit off of my car. They love using my car as their toilet. Yeah. One more thing just before we get started. Don't take this as be all end all. This car is very old and I'm gonna have a different experience than any of you would have. We're gonna start with my favorite thing about this car. It's a manual. You just cannot beat a manual. This thing is so much fun to drive. It is a 5-speed. When I'm on the highway, I'm sitting around 2,500 RPM. It is geared shorter, but I like that because it allows the engine to be a little more peppy. It's kind of like how people talk about the Mazda Miata. The gears are really short to make it seem fast, you know? It's my daily commuter. I love it. She works really hard for me. I mean, I changed the oil as I should. So my second favorite thing about this car is it is a V6. I love the sounds of V6s. This motor isn't too powerful. It only makes 170 horse. I'm pretty sure that's to the crank. Again, it is old, so it's probably not making the same as it was. However, it's still really fun. You downshift and get in it, and it takes off. You can feel the torque. I don't know if you've seen in my first meet video where I took Kevin for a ride and we get in it. He did kind of lay his head back a little bit, but the body movement, that was genuine, I noticed. My third favorite thing about this car, well, it's kind of a bundled thing, but I love the way the rims look. They actually look really good. It is a 6-spoke. I do believe it is aluminum. Paired with these tires and the suspension, this car handles amazingly. My third favorite thing is the handling. This car just loves corners. On the cruise in my previous video, we were merging onto the highway. I get in it and I'm sitting right behind an Evo. Favorite thing by far is the handling and the sound and just everything. Actually, that leads to another point. This exhaust is a Borla Pro XS. I got it for like $300 on True Bends, and then I took it to a shop. They welded the exhaust in and it sounds freaking phenomenal. There's literally no drone on the highway, and then whenever I let out on the throttle and just give it a blip, gives you a nice little pop. I don't know if you've seen it in the other video. I actually put an iCard above. I believe it's on this side. Let's hope so. Otherwise, I look like a dumbass. While I'm sitting here thinking about some other good things, some of my favorite things about this car, let's go ahead and get into the things that I don't like. We're gonna go back to the shifter. Now, when this car is cold and I'm just driving along, it likes to crunch. It's kind of crunchy going through the gears when the car is cold, but when it does warm up, it feels really good. And I don't know how they did that, considering that this is a front-wheel drive car. I'm not quite sure how to explain the feeling of this. It doesn't exactly like slip into gear. You know how a lot of transmissions may be really smooth and there's not much of a feedback on them. This one, you know when you're going into gear. And it's not like, oh, it won't let me into gear. It's just a satisfying just kind of clunk into gear. Again, this car is old, so that may be with the miles. Moving on to the second thing I don't like about my car are these doors. They are really heavy. You can see here, let's see if I can show you. Oh, no, there it is. Just from the weight of this door and it being used, every time you open the door kind of falls down a little bit. They're just really heavy, and these mounts, I guess you could call them, they kind of get weak and old and they just start to fail. However, that door is just fine. It works fine, but this door is always being used because it's the driver's side. It's just starting to hang a little bit. Moving back to another one of my favorite things about this car, the sound system. The sound system is freaking amazing in this car. This car bumps. Just the stock sound system sounds amazing. It sounds like you've got giant subs in here. Let's see if I can get a clip in here using it without getting copyrighted. Actually, you know what? We'll see how well the song I just bought works in this car. All right, let's see how it does. We'll put it at 15 and we'll slowly increase the volume. This is 15, 20, 30, 40. The doors are starting to shake. can't really show you anything rattling because everything in this car actually holds together with time, unlike a lot of older cars. I do have an aftermarket head unit. It is a Pioneer. So that does have a little bit of play to how the sound comes out because you know, you can adjust the equalizer on here. Brian, hi dog. What are you doing? What are you doing? Yep. Another thing that I'm going to talk about that really doesn't classify as something that I can put on this love-hate list because, oh, yep, look, the tie rod's apart again. I think I'm gonna have to order a new tie rod, and there's a lot of rust under this car. Now, the reason why I'm putting this in is because it's kind of like a manufacturing thing. They didn't coat these very well. Now, the front subframe is fine. You know, there's just a little bit of rust right here. The rest of it actually looks really good. But especially in the rear, the suspension and everything else, it rusts really bad. The ride quality has gone down. It rattles a little bit here and there. But with time, you know, shocks and suspension, that all just kind of goes as it usually does as you put miles on the car. That's one thing you kind of got to watch out for. Is if your Cougar comes from a salt state, be prepared for rust underneath the car. I would definitely get on that as soon as possible if you're looking to keep this car for any amount of time. Yeah, take a look at this. Like, even the shocks are starting to leak. It's just real rust city back up under here. Oh, I just noticed this. Look at all that soot on my car. If you've seen in the last video, that Genesis left a bunch of soot all over my car. Shit all over my car. Now, going on along with the theme of the rust and suspension is the brakes. The brakes are kind of mushy. Again, this is my own experience. Like I said, yours could be different. I have a leaking brake line and the rear right. I'm not sure which tire it goes to because it kind of comes up and under stuff. So they do stop still. Whoa, hello. Brakes work. Yeah. If you saw in the other video, I keep referencing the other video, just check it out. It's actually a great video. But yeah, anytime I try to stop hard, it just starts to get mushy, anything past quarter throw or whatever you want to. Another thing that I love about this car is the paint. I mean, this thing is what, 18 years old now, and look at that. That paint is just beautiful. Still red, vibrant, and it's still got flake. I don't know if I can even get that on the camera. I don't know how well that's gonna come through, but the paint just looks phenomenal. Now, you do have your typical rock chips on the hood. Another thing I like about this car is the styling. The styling looks okay. I feel the front bumper could have been different. Maybe if this part of the bumper was aligned with the headlights and didn't exactly stick out like it does here, it wouldn't look so goofy. It kind of looks like it's got duck lips. It's just kind of pushing the car forward, kind of making the front look longer, and I'm sure it's to give you more of a crumple zone, so safety and all that. If it was flush with the headlights and the front grille here, it would look a lot better. Another thing I wish they would have done differently is this rear bumper. It actually doesn't look too bad. It looks pretty good, but it's bulges out around in here, and you can kind of see that style follows the front, but it's a little bit bulbous and round. People say that's good for aerodynamics and all that, but I feel like this could have been more aggressive. If you look here, the body lines of the car kind of curve under, and it shows a bit of the tire, but I wish it actually went straight and kind of curved in at the very last second. Same thing with the side skirts all the way up. It was made during that era where everybody liked their round cars and all that. So another thing I love is this spoiler, but I feel like if it was just a bit wider, a little bit more out, if maybe it came out to about the end of the taillight or just a little to where the gas cap is, it'd look a lot better because it kind of gets sucked up inside of the body lines. I can't complain much. This car looks actually rather good. Another thing I don't like about this car is this fake hood scoop. I guess for the time, that's kind of the theme. Everybody liked having fake hood scoops. All that made the styling look pretty decent. But this just kind of gives, uh-oh, paint's starting to go away. I did not see that. That must have been recent. But, you know, fake hood scoop. Now, I do know that some of the models came without the hood scoop. This is just what came on my model. So now a really great thing about this car is the amount of room in the rear of the vehicle. Now I do have my spare tire, my jack, all that removed, and I have the flooring removed. I also have the back seats removed. Sorry if this part was choppy. There was a bunch of cars going by all at once. But I have a lot of things removed in the back, so there's a lot more room. So this is a really good daily car for just about anything. I really love the style of the rear taillights. It's triangular, it looks aggressive. It goes with the body. I don't know, I just feel like there could have been something different about the rear of the vehicle that could really spice it up. I also love the styling of the front headlights. They're a little long for my taste. I feel like if they would have maybe brought it down to about right there, curved it, I don't know about that. That kind of looks goofy. I'm not quite sure. I feel like they could have been a little bit more angular, not as long, not as round. They're a little bit difficult to mess with when you're trying to replace the headlights and all that stuff. At night is when the headlights really shine. I'll see if I can have a clip, or if I have a clip in another video I can add here. These bulbs just kind of stand out and give you this reflection, and it really does look like a cat, and that was kind of the styling with this car. I believe this video might be getting a little long, might be getting a little boring. The very last thing that I actually love about this car is actually how low it is. With that being said, you can see my monster truck ride height. I'm not on any aftermarket springs. This is all stock. However, even with it being stock ride height, it is very low. If you park this next to a 350Z or anything, the roofline of the 350Z actually comes up to about right here. Just kind of a size comparison. It's about at maybe my shoulders. The roofline is very low, the car sits very low, and it looks nice. So with all that being said, I'm sure there's some things I've missed. Just let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite thing? What you don't like about this car? I know there's some aftermarket body parts I can buy to make it look really nice, especially in the front. I know there's I can't remember what it's called. It's Drifter Spec or something like that. I'll just put up an image right here. It looks really great. I like the look of that, but I feel like painting it or wrapping it would be really expensive, not to mention the possibility of it breaking through shipping, and then when I do have it on, I'm pretty sure it's, what is it, fiberglass? That's really not something good to be putting on the front of your car. That could break if you hit anything. And then I also don't know how to replace the front bumper, so that could be bad. Yeah, so those are my favorite things and things I don't like about my 2002 Mercury Cougar, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.